Yeah, we're doing Harry Potter. Hey!
Binging.
Binging!
We're
Yay!
binging the Harry Potters.
It's also in the middle of summer, so I'm putting that one over there. So we both watched Harry Potter when it was on in the cinema yonkies years ago. And so this is our rewatch. And this is going to be a spoilery talk of the rewatch. And there were questions. And between us...
Hopefully there's some answers.
Yeah, questions from you, questions from me. And hopeless between us we can come up with some answers.
Yes. The first thought I had about the first movie is that it is Pippi Longstocking.
Yeah, I think definitely J.K. Rowling has read all the classics before she did anything at all. She read everything, the entire library, all the kids' stuff, everything.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed when I didn't actively notice it, but afterwards I noticed that the way that Harry Potter has been shaped, like a skinny kid with black hair and glasses, is exactly like a character from a book called Adrian Mole, and I think it's called The Diary of a Boy of 13 and a half or something like that. We knew it in Dutch, so that I'll have to look up the title, but he's Adrian Mole. He just has a different name. So that's your first one that I noticed.
Yeah, I mean it's the quintessential chosen one trope. He is nobody until he finds out that he is the heir to everything.
Yeah.
Not only that, he's going to save the world. So it is Luke Skywalker. It is all the chosen ones ever.
Yeah, but I think that is the least of the problem of the
I'm not
story.
saying it's especially a problem. It's just that if it's now been done.
Yeah.
In such a way that you see that they are making fewer chosen one stories because this is done so quintessentially and the entire world has seen it.
Yeah, but this is the first one, not really, but nearly the first one that was for a general audience and for child, because Luke Skywalker is a grown-up.
Yeah,
most of them are grown-ups, and this is, I think the only other one that I can think of is Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I think that's maybe a smidgen later, but not much. But he was already, he was less of a chosen one because he already grew up in all that. There was more to it than that. We're not going to do that. But I think the trope of him being the chosen one for the genre actually is not that bad, especially because he's not all alone the entire time.
Yeah, and it is a way to introduce the wizarding world to the viewing audience, is to take him from the normal world and then transition with him into the wizarding world. But then, so in that case, the chosen one is actually that facilitates all of this.
But then it also becomes the white savior trope. Because the white savior trope is used much in 19th century literature or adventure literature, where the white guy goes to Africa and discovers...
But the wizarding world is mostly white.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if it's... Because they are different from what he is. He comes in as an outsider, as a POV character. He's not there to be the white savior. He's to be the POV character that is other than the culture that he's going to see. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, but that's only for the first movie. And one of the points is that he's actually from there. And that way it's done really well. You have the first scene where he is being brought to the normal world, and then we know that he's gonna have to go back.
Yes. But he's always on the periphery of this world, because right until the very last book, they're still explaining the wizarding world to him in some way or another.
Yeah, because everybody else, maybe not Hermione, but Ron and all these people have all grown up with this is just the normal world for them. And for Harry, the first 11 years, he's not been raised in this world. And in fact, the Dursleys actually make sure that he doesn't know anything about it, and they are being
very actively.
They're active. They're also being more normal human beings than non-wizardy than anybody could be, because they did know about it in the beginning. You're not aware of this. You've got this whole Roald Dahlsian storytelling with everything is a little bit of a caricature in the normal world.
The first book, and a little bit there for the movie as well. There's a lot of hyperbole, children's book hyperbole in that. The way that the Dursleys are with him, and it is, everything is a little bit hyperbole. And I think the cause of the entire Dursley setup is that I think J.K. Rowling fundamentally feels that she has been mistreated as a child, and she's now reflecting it in this. Yeah, I think so.
Living under the staircase is totally Roald Dahl.
Yes,
because that is just.
But that's
not a thing
that's
that
the hyperbole. That's the hyperbole.
Everything that all the scenes that we see in the normal world, he's Cinderella. Yep. It's a Cinderella thing, which, he becomes Pippi Longstocking once they take him to the Wizarding World. He suddenly has a chest full of gold, etc., because of parents. But while he's in the normal world, before he knows all of this, he is Cinderella, and they do keep that up, the Dursleys. Yes.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Until purification, I really hated it. I hated it, and I think that is why I think that she feels that it is very personal to her, and that's why it's in there. And a bunch
it's over the top.
It's over the top, and a bunch of the things that I see in the books, the entire set of books, but especially in the first one, about how people are, is how I think she thinks that the world is. And I'm going to disagree on a bunch of these things, of course.
I don't know. I mean, if it's like a Roald Dahl look on, this is writing a children's story with crazy stuff happening, but it's all normal world. Okay, but I'm not going to take anything seriously from this point onwards.
Yeah, and that's fine for the first set of books, but once you get into the later books,
yes,
you get into the problems over that. Yeah. And this is the set that we've picked for today. The first three actually makes a bit of a parcel together. And there's a changeover at some point, because you little kids grow up, and they want to do grown-up stuff, even young grown-up stuff, teen stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when he gets to Hogwarts, everybody's got the really prim and proper outfits on. There is one scene, whether it's in movie 1 or movie 2, I forget, but it's not movie 3, is where something happens in the evening and they all come running. It's 10 o'clock at night. Everybody's got their entire school uniform on and their cloak, and they are all.
It's cold.
And they've got their ties all properly dressed. Now that's that same type of visual OTT, and it's basically saying to us, listen, this is all fiction. It's not a caricature at that point anymore, but it is more of like, we're painting a picture. This is not reality. Because none of these kids, after dinner is over, and they specifically said it was 10 o'clock at night, would be wearing their ties and their full uniform. They would be wearing, it's Scotland, thank you very much. It's effing cold. So they would be wearing jumpers and stuff. Maybe the crap jumpers that they got sent from home.
Yeah, or the many fanfic. I have read a lot of fanfic, but fanfics make some sometimes interesting observations. Is that because Harry was treated like that by the Dursleys, and that's, I think it's somewhere in the book, but he was not given a proper wardrobe to wear. He was wearing Dudley's hand-me-downs.
Which didn't fit.
Which didn't fit. So he is the only one that in the evening would have been wearing his Hogwarts uniform, because he has nothing else to wear.
Yeah,
and that would have been an interesting thing to show that, but they didn't.
The British school uniforms always have a jumper, which is a sweater, something soft that covers everything, because you're gonna have that, and they would not be wearing ties in the evening. So part of it, I think, is Chris Columbus is an American, and he was showing us an fictional and very, it's like picture perfect concept of what a British boarding school would be like.
Yeah.
And an expensive one, an elite boarding school, because they're also doing things like all the kids are being called by their last names. I would say that in the 1990s in the UK that would only happen at a high-end boarding school.
But because it's a high-end boarding school, and it's an
it
old-fashioned high-end boarding school.
Yeah.
This is not in any way normal.
But they should be in bed at 10 o'clock at night, so then none of them should be having their complete school uniform on. And there's only one pajama scene in these 3 movies, and that was cut out, so it was in the deleted scenes. But it was... all the deleted scenes that were cut out is like they should have put that back in.
Yeah.
It's just... I would like them to do like the director's cut with... Just put them back in, because we need them. There's actually information in those scenes.
I do believe there is a director's cut of that, but they're back in. So an extended... I think it's called an extended version. So that
yeah. Need an extended.
Yes. One of the things I noticed, and that's like the first 2 movies are by one director, and the third one of these 3 is by a different director, and they pick the last one picks up some of the stuff from the first one. And so this is sort of more about the first one, is the classes when they're walking through Hogwarts and being shown to their house, they're too big. That is literally not possible. Then when you start to count how many people are possibly going to the school at any one point, that class, I think it was just because they had that many kids and they wanted to be in the scene. But it gives you the wrong idea, because you have a pen and a piece of paper. We have a pen, we have some paper. And I'll put it what we're doing over here as well. It appears to be that there are about 5 boys in Harry's Gryffindor year. Supposing there are 5 boys and there's 5 girls, because on the whole that goes like that. There are 4 houses, so we have the whole thing times 4. We have 40 kids per year. There doesn't seem to be any other Gryffindor classes or any other Slytherin classes. There's no double classes. When we were in school, where there was like 3 HAVO classes, and I think there were 2 gymnasium classes. Same group, same people, just 2 different classes, because you had that many people. So if there were more classes, then we would have to double that, but I don't see any. I also don't see any teachers that would teach these classes, so I don't think those are there.
So you're saying there's 40 kids per year. So we got 7 years, so got...
The total number of people in Hogwarts, on an average, this is the entire average, is 280. Mm-hmm. Now...
That's quite a lot of kids. So, they wanted, for the filming, they wanted space enough for, was it 1,000 or 1,500 kids? They couldn't film with 1,500 kids. They filmed with 500 kids.
That's still twice this.
Yeah. Very optimistic.
If there are 280 kids at Hogwarts, 7 years of your schooling, and 40 kids per year are admitted to Hogwarts, that means 40 kids per year are born to the wizarding world. Suppose, and this is like a muggles live about average of like 70 years, but wizards live longer. So say, for ease of calculation, 100 years. Because some die early and some die later.
No, you got the Dumbledores and the McGonagalls.
But you also have the James and Lily Potters.
Yeah.
So 100 years, and so we have
40 times 100.
40 times 100. I believe it's 4,000. Now, one can assume that there are some squibs being born to families, and say it's about 10%.
Yes, but also families are non-wizarding families have
Yeah, but
people
they come to Hogwarts, so we've already included them because Hermione is included in this calculation.
Yeah, these 40 kids are 40 kids, whether or not somebody has
but
squibs.
not the skip. The squibs don't go to Hogwarts. They are relegated to.
Yeah, but this is the kids in the classes, so we have 40 kids, no matter.
Yes, but
whether
in the Wizarding world, I'm trying to calculate how many people there are in the Wizarding world. So there's like, so 10% of extra on top of this. That are squibs and stuff like that. So what we have 4,400 people. How an horrible amount of people. And for the if we have missed people, let's add a little bit too and make it a round 6,750 people, which is a nice round number. There is about 67.5 million people in the UK. So I think that's like 1 in 10,000 or something like that is a wizarding person in the UK. And this is when we've already rounded up our estimate of the number. We went from 44 to 67. So... that's not a lot of people. That is very small amount of people.
And that goes with how specific Hogwarts is. It is just Hogwarts. It is the one that everybody goes to in the UK.
And there's not another one, and there's not one in Ireland, and because the Irish people actually come to Hogwarts. Yeah. The nearest one is like in France, and there is one in Romania, and that's it for Europe. Pretty much. Yeah. That is not a way to have a society. That it doesn't work. That's I think that's the books. The first book is a children's book that just does whatever. And then you have to try and make it work, and that's the rest of the books is trying to make it work.
Yeah. Well, then you have to follow through on your world building.
Yes, and a lot of problems that she caused for that J.K. Rowling caused for herself will crop up later.
Oh well.
One of the things that props up pretty early on is the timeline of the very first scene in the film. Everybody knows it is where the little Harry is being dropped off at the Dursleys on Halloween, of course. The timeline of the entire event is jacked. It is a mess. Every time you look at it, there's something wrong with it. Because he cannot have arrived at the Dursleys on Halloween evening, because the scene starts with that Cat McGonagall has been sitting outside of the Dursleys all day to watch the house. If the events of the death of the Potters happened that night, why would she be there all day waiting for it? So it's not that day, it's the day after. In the book, it is a Tuesday. The Tuesday happens to be... The Tuesday is the 3rd. It's not the 3rd November. It's not anywhere near. So the question is, what then happened to baby Harry all that time? Also, he is being dropped...
Hagrid.
He is being dropped off by Hagrid on Sirius's motorcycle. Where did Hagrid get Sirius's motorcycle? From Sirius. Why is Sirius not with them? There are so many questions, and the whole thing is jacked up.
Wasn't Sirius in jail? No, he was not yet in jail.
Not yet. It appears the events have gone thusly. Sometime on the evening of Halloween, the 31st, after dark, so not in the daytime, the Potters are visited by probably Voldemort and Pettigrew. We think probably includes Pettigrew. Pettigrew let Voldemort in, so yeah. The murder happens, but then Voldemort also dies and Pettigrew just runs off. Who tells anybody that anybody is dead? Nobody. So that's jacked. Now, if I were writing a fanfic, I would have the next thing happen. It is Halloween night. It is the death happens early in the evening, not late at night. Later that night, like 8 o'clock, they have a dinner date for Halloween with Hagrid and Sirius, who arrive on the motorcycle. Mm-hmm. Because Hagrid is not supposed to go do magic on his own. They arrive, they find everybody dead. Sirius loses his ever-loving shit because he knows how he did it. The stupid asshole doesn't tell anybody about this because is Sirius black? I don't know. And he runs off and does whatever he does with trying to kill Peter Pettigrew, and it leaves Hagrid there with a baby and dead bodies. And so Hagrid has to call somebody. And then you get the stuff emotion. And that's the only way I can make it work somewhat. And then still the baby has to go with Hagrid for a couple of days before they decide to hand it to take it to the Dursleys.
Yeah.
This is none of that is actually in canon because it's missing. But we want to know why people know things. And also the whole serious stuff happens in the Prisoner of Azkaban, and you hear about him and he just pops up out of nowhere basically.
The Prisoner of Azkaban has a whole lot of popping up out of everything is popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The first two films are quite self-contained. Even the first film alone, if they were not able to film anymore. No, the first film is a really good children's film with lots of interesting concepts, and it starts a story, it finishes a story.
Yes.
So maybe they had that in mind first time around.
Yeah, just to make sure that it actually was worth doing.
But they may not have known, although the books were at that point already so famous.
They were absolutely famous. Yeah. But you also have to make it into a good franchise, film franchise. It has to stand alone as a film franchise, separate from the books. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah. And I think that somebody like Chris Columbus and the writer that he had, they did a really good job making this an international film, because this is actually Warner Bros. It is not a British production in any way. It's an American production, and they did a really good job of putting it out there in a way that practically all countries will want to see this. It's got all the tick boxes. It has a little bit of this Dickensian Scrooge-like thing. It's got Christmas movie right now. Fairy tales. Sorcery, magic,
dragons occasionally,
flying, Quidditch thing. I think Quidditch was a really good thing to put in this movie, because then you have, if nothing else, if you don't understand any of the rest of the story, you can follow the Quidditch match. And what the fallout of the Quidditch match is very much the social interaction that Harry has. So you can always hang your enjoyment of the film on that.
The sports thing will resonate with countries that where sports is big, like the States and England and India and all these places.
And that is part of the Chosen One theme, is that he is nothing. He is a Cinderella in the real world up to the age of 11, and he does remind people of this every once in a while. It's like, listen, I was nothing before now. And now he is this great Quidditch star, football star, or other, this jock, effectively. He's a young jock, but he is one. And he's every little boys and any girls who want to be a sports star dream, because this is the dream for your average school kid. Yeah.
The only problem that I have with that idea is that he is also has that prophecy hanging over his head, and
it's over the top.
It's on top of each other. You don't need both of these things. It might have been better to give like one of these things to Ron or to Hermione.
Totally.
Because it's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah, and you see this quite often in Xena. It was the same thing. Xena knows everything, has done everything, and can do everything, has the skills for everything. And then she picks up Gabrielle, and you basically need to follow both of them. But Gabrielle knows nothing, has never done anything, and has no skills. So it's don't have your other characters be an afterthought. It's like, oh wait, my character needs to talk to people, otherwise I have no dialogues, and it's just a very lonely business. And then you kind of like, why am I not doing James Bond? And it does come back to the Luke Skywalker concept, because the chosen one has to then save the world. That's the problem with it, is you can't just win the Quidditch match. You have to save the world.
Yeah. And either one of those things is enough, really.
I mean, Ron could have been the Seeker in the Quidditch match.
I would have loved that. And I think the one criticism that, and that goes for all of these movies, is that Ron, because they're trying to, they kind of have to caricaturize the characters from the book to simpler things, because film. And in the book, the input of Ron is much more than it is in the films. A lot of the some of the things that Hermione says are things that Ron actually said, and they mess around with that a lot, so that Hermione always looks like the smart one and Ron always looks like the silly one, and that is not true in the books. So he has.
I'm glad to hear it, because he has really would prefer that.
Yeah, he has a better part in that, and I commend Rupert Grint for putting up with this, being the butt of many jokes for
in
here.
The first film, he is actually, Ron is the one who knows chess.
Yes.
And there's a deleted scene where he is playing chess with them, and they talk about it. And then there's one scene where there's just briefly we see Ron doing chess, but they're talking about something else. And then at the when it comes to the actual chess game, live chess game, he has to do it. And it's not set up enough if you don't have this earlier. It's just too concise, and that's something about these entire, at least the whole three of them, but probably the rest of them as well.
Oh, it's going to get worse.
Is that the conciseness of it is so strong, is that you blink and you missed it. If you missed half a sentence of what somebody said, they're not going to repeat it at any time. So there were quite a few moments that I paused it, I had to have a think, maybe go back and see if I caught the line correctly, because I'm like, the information is so dense.
Yeah, and they had to skip a bunch of things, because those challenges at the end, there was Fluffy. They had to overcome Fluffy. Yeah. They had to fight the figure out how to deal with the devil's snare, which is what Hermione did for them. Then Harry had to fly for the flying keys. Then there was the wizarding chess and that Ron could shine in it. But then after that, there was a potion riddle that was completely omitted, which what Hermione and Harry figured out between them. But they realized that we don't have time for this. So out it goes, which is a shame.
It was a very classical series of trials, which is like from myths and legends. Yes. This is how it's done. Usually it's 3. It sounds like there were originally 5. It's a lot.
And there were 4 teachers. So there were 4 teachers plus Hagrid, who all everybody put in a trial who was there. So Snape's trial was the one with the potions. The flying keys was from McGonagall. The devil's snare would have been from Sprout, because she's the teacher for herbology. Then we had Flitwick would have the wizarding chess, of course, was Flitwick. Was Ravenclaw. And Fluffy was organized by Hagrid. And then I think the overalling mastermind would have been Albus Dumbledore in this thing. So yeah, so you had 5 trials because you had 5 people supplying traps. Another thing that was missing was the duel there was a midnight duel nearly between Draco and Harry. Which was because
I would have liked to have seen that.
Yes.
Draco does not get enough time. We know that Draco has to be set up as his nemesis-ish for a bunch of the films. And we don't get to see much, certainly in the first one.
Yeah. And there is this midnight duel was very important, and I should have
What were they dueling over?
It was a dare, and because they were sassing. The Draco was sassing Harry, and then.
Well, that's another theme. Bullying.
Yes.
It's so clear that this entire thing is saturated with bullying.
Yeah.
And if you have a tiny community that is just there to keep these kids, keep them off the streets, for really, to be blunt, and then give them an education so that once you put them back on the streets, they're actually going to live a sensible life. But that seems to all involve bullying from top down, sideways, every single level. The Cinderella situation he has at home with the Dursleys, bullying situation, comes to the school. There's other bullies. People are bullying because they are richer. People are bullying because whatever they consider, and that's before we get to film 2, where we find out it's actually much worse. It's all this is part of society.
And I think that J.K. Rowling think that's how the world works. For whatever reason, I'm sure it's some personal experience here, but I think that is the way the world works, and therefore she puts it in there, because I do think she's trying to put in the elements that from the real world into this world, to see that she doesn't always fit properly, but she is thoroughly convinced that school is there to mold people by force, that other people are likely to bully you, and
you learn to stand up to them,
maybe
by being a Quidditch star.
No, I don't. No, I don't think she has a solution.
Yeah,
she's
but that's
not going to
the
be a
problem
solution.
with bullying. There's never a solution.
It's way worse, because the entire problems that this wizarding world has in the form of Voldemort is a self-made problem. Voldemort, when he was, and you know that from the later ones, Voldemort was an abandoned child in an orphanage, picked up too late to go to Hogwarts, because by that time he was already messed up, and nobody at Hogwarts bothered to do anything for him, to help him in any way, just like the same that they didn't do for Harry, just the same that didn't do for people like Snape. Because exactly the same thing, you keep. The only difference between these three is that Snape is either smart enough not to be completely evil, Harry is too sweet, and Voldemort.
Harry had, in essence, Harry still had Dumbledore and Hagrid and looking over him.
No.
No.
But
he would have been dead otherwise.
They starved him all through summer. Every summer.
I know.
There's a normal person who doesn't survive 2 months without food.
Yeah, but he's not a normal person.
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, the school, any school, and this goes for a school where he is there for most of the year. They should know that if he goes home and he comes back all. You know, you call somebody. You call
even
CPA.
In the 90s, you call somebody in the mid 80s.
And it is completely bonkers that they don't.
Yeah. That's why anything in the normal world is just it just feels like a caricature. It doesn't so. And that's on purpose. But then it's like, how can I take the rest seriously?
Mm. Yep. The one thing that my theory on it is that the wizarding world, it has to exist for a reason, because it exists in the story, And the nature of the wizarding world is not at all what it appears to be, like a nice place where people can visit, can live, and there's a school, and there's a hospital, and there's a bank, and there's a shopping street, and all that kind of thing. Wonderful, nice, yes. And for our society, we have shopping, all these things, and we have a government who pays for the streets. Who pays for the streets? We do pay for the streets by way of the government, but we don't actually have to pay to go on the street. This is how it works. The government makes sure that there's police to make sure that we are not robbed blind, and there is hospitals. And some countries you have to pay for them directly, in some countries you don't. In England you have the NHS, so it looks like you don't have to pay for it. It also looks like you don't have to pay for schooling. This is all not true, but I think JK kind of thinks it is, because the schooling is free but and the hospital is free.
It's an elite private school. Yeah, the hospitals are free. It's the UK.
Yeah, but it's not the UK. It's the Wizarding World.
Yeah.
So that's weird. But
the hospital was in the school, right?
No, not the big one. There's a big one.
Oh.
St. Mungo's is
But not in the first film.
No, we get to see it later.
Okay.
Much later, and one scene.
So a school like that would have a resident nurse, and they do talk about it. So it's a nurse or a doctor.
Yeah, okay, but you have a very expensive school, and the very, very poor Weasleys. Yes. All 7 of them are going to this very, very expensive school.
Well,
how does that work?
Maybe they got scholarships, because Harry has plenty of money, and he's presented with this incredible amount of money, and then everything just happens. He gets things. Because he's 11, you don't expect an 11-year-old to manage his money. So I would imagine that Hagrid or Dumbledore then basically organized everything else from that. He doesn't need a scholarship to this school because he's got loads of cash.
Yes, but how does that scholarship for the Weasleys work? For 7 of them.
7 years, 7. So that's
and the reason
49 years of school.
Exactly. Somebody has to pay for it, and I'm going to give you an hypothetical. We know what happened when Harry was prevented from going to school. They sent Hagrid. We don't know how it went with the Weasleys. It's probably
they would always go to school.
Exactly.
The letter will arrive and they go to school.
How did it go with Hermione?
Yes, how did it go with Hermione?
I think
she would have had a letter.
I think it went thusly.
All right.
Because it's not in the books. It went thusly. And a letter arrived. The Ma Granger got it and sort of went, oh, that's interesting. Junk mail. Because, of course.
Silly junk mail.
Junk mail. And then a couple of more letters arrived. And when there is no response, or maybe when there was a response, a McGonagall arrives at the door with some bunch of pamphlets.
Yes, somebody will arrive at the door.
And with the underlying text, Hermione is going to the school. There is no not going to the school, because magical kids have to go to the school. Why do they? Why is this? I think it has to be mandatory.
It was mandatory for Harry, for sure.
Yes, but the reason for that, I think, is that you cannot have magical people running around in the wild, untrained, causing all kinds of blowing up of ants.
No. They would probably want to have the kids in school maybe from the age of 4. They just can't make that happen.
No, I think there's another reason for that, because that is just weird. It's double weird, but let's start with number 1. I think the reason is that it's like you have to have for everything that you learn, you have to have the right moment. You have to have the right moment in time. If you learn, it is weird example, but I think I'm going to go with it. Potty training. You can train a kid. You have to train a kid potty training. If you do it too late, they have problems, because socialization problems. If you do it is possible to do it much earlier than you think it is, but that is also causing other problems. There is a set time to teach a kid potty training. It's enough time to do that. And I think it's the same with the magic. The magic has to run rampant for a while, and they realize by by about the age 11, these kids can actually harness it. If you do it too early, something will go wrong.
Yeah.
But that's my take on it. The other side of that is, so we have Harry, who went to some sort of primary school, Muggle primary school, as did Hermione. We don't know where Weasley went. We don't know where Draco went. What we do know is that in neither of those places where they went, they learned much magic, because they come to Hogwarts just as dumb in ways of magic as Hermione and
So
Harry.
the parents aren't teaching them anything.
They are
either.
not getting a primary magical primary education somehow. I think it's just an omission, just in the same way that there's an omission in the entire story of what to do after Hogwarts. There is no university. There's just there's nothing. You just you do your hours, you do your newts, and you become Auror. Everybody becomes Auror. Basically, everybody works for the ministry after Hogwarts or something. Where are my universities? Where are my career options? You know, this is weird.
If there are only 4,000...
5,000 odd people.
Yeah, 4,500 alive wizarding people?
Alive wizarding people, yes.
Maybe you don't need any specialists.
Yes, because society is not a complete country. A complete country has roads and
If you're fairly normal normie, you can probably spend the rest of your life in the normal world and just forget about it. So that's going to be a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then the top end people are going to be so magical that they're like, I cannot be in... No, I'm going to be here. So they may end up teaching at Hogwarts, or they're going to be specializing in some sort of...
Yeah, well, but the normies can't go living in the wizarding world, because the in the normal world, because the wizarding world doesn't want that. Everything about the way it has been crafted is not about keeping the people safe. It is keeping the wizarding world secret from the muggles.
Yeah.
So no, a wizard is by much cajoling kept in the wizarding world, because you don't want a wizard to live in a normie place and accidentally do some magic or be miracle or something like that. You don't want that. You want them all contained. So the wizarding world
But then you're putting pressure on having these people together, and then I'm not surprised we get people like Malfoy.
And everybody in Nocturne Alley.
Yeah. And they haven't really explained any of that. I mean, that's in the second film, but no, third actually. But they haven't really explained the rest of the Wizarding World, the ongoing adult business.
I think what the Wizarding World is there to keep magic away from Muggles. I also think that there are a couple of wizarding places in the UK, which is the Diagon Alley, which is in the middle of London. Then you have Hogsmeade Village, and next to that is Hogwarts with an entire forest, the Forbidden Forest. And there is another town, Godric Hollow. And there's a couple of little things, but the big forest is at Hogwarts, which is absolutely full of all kinds of magical creatures.
Oh, that's literally the first thing that Dumbledore says is, welcome, do not go in the forest. It is full of things that will kill you.
But the interesting thing about
that was it. That was his entire speech.
About that forest is when in Azkaban, the opening of that was the Fort Anglia. The Fort Anglia is flying car, gets through ways dumped into the forest, and seems to take on a life of its own.
Yeah.
I think that forest also is conducive to magical creatures, and it is now a magical creature. If it was an animated car before, it is now a magical creature.
Yeah.
And I think that so maybe that is the Hogwarts is at that nexus, because that location is that's where magic is strong.
Right. So you got Buffy, who is in Sunnydale, and she is on the Hellmouth. That's why she's there. So this is a similar thing. It's not a Hellmouth, but it is a...
It's a magical
Nexus,
spring, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think so. I think a lot of probably when the ministry finds a magical creature somewhere where that's not good for magical creatures, they bring it to the Forbidden Forest because there's nothing else they can do with it. Or you can't kill every magical creature. It doesn't work that way. Some of them are necessary to exist, like unicorns. You don't want to, absolutely do not want to kill a unicorn because bad mojo will happen to you. But this is, it's kind of a mess when you try to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is like world shaped, but not quite.
Yeah, I think it's inherent on this tiny little world is that it's not complete because it's just 4,500 people is not enough to be complete. And it has to be everything to everybody who is in it. And that's because you're not going to go back. Because we've already determined that you are too magical to have a normal education and live in the normal world.
Yeah. The story of Snape is kind of an example of that, because the Snape is let down by the fact that he is magical. He came from a garbage background, but once he actually got to Hogwarts, there should have been opportunities for him. But he gets sorted in the house of the rich and pure-blooded, and he's neither rich nor pure-blood. He's a half-blood. So I'm even surprised that he actually survived.
Yeah, he could be dead.
But okay, he got there, and then he did his owls, and he did his newts, and then he stands at the end going, because you're supposed to like get help from your housemates, I suppose, but he's in the wrong house for that.
So I did want to talk about houses. So they sort everybody, the sorting hat and stuff. The hat seems to listen a little bit to the person, but what is the use of having people of the same disposition? I don't know what to call it. Sorting them into different houses. You will only polarize people. This is a very not Dutch thing to do.
And it's worse because I think that anybody sorted into Severin comes in two types, namely the oppressor and the oppressed.
Yeah.
And of Snape was meant to be the oppressed.
So we're back to the bullying.
And you're supposed to help each other in your own house. And I don't think Snape would have gotten any help from anyone if he hadn't just bargained for it. I also don't see him actually joining Voldemort. He's not a joiner. I don't see him joining anyone.
No.
So the only reason I can think of that would work is he is standing there at the end of his education. He cannot go anywhere, and the only person he can ask for a favor is Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah.
Because he's a senior. He would have been a senior from his house by a couple of years, but not too much. He would have known him. And Lucius Malfoy is never going to do that without a counter favor in return.
They despise Snape.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with this polarization of making the houses. Then the Hogwarts makes it worse by having the point system. Yes, it's great that you make points for your house, but it's not good that you're now in competition with the other houses.
You should only make points for yourself if you do point system at all.
It should have been a gold star thing rather than and who's the winner now, because 3 of them are going to lose. And yeah, I mean, all of this is so wrong. This is not good for children. And then they also do the Quidditch match by the houses. Now there's nothing that is as polarizing
as sports.
As rooting for your team. That is like the worst thing. That's why you want the rooting for your team to not have to do anything with politics. And they've just mixed it because they've just said you are there for your house and you can disgrace your house, and you can make points for your house, and you're going up against all these other houses.
Yeah. And if you then
Now you have quarterized your entire society, because everybody goes to a Hogwarts, whether it's this Hogwarts or Romania, whatever, and it's going to go through the same...
The Romania might have a different system. This is a very British system. I don't think... I do know that the supposed American version also has a house system, but quite frankly, I don't... Yeah. It's outside of the book, so I don't... It's all the stuff that came after the books were finished, is most of it is contradictory and annoying and game breaking. Like everybody being a half-blood, basically. So, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the moment that the houses, yes. And then, but you have 4 houses, of which one house is vilified. And then the poor person who has no context comes at the end of that house. And what do? They have to go with what they have, which is that side. So you are presupposed. Not only are you presupposed to be part of the group, you're if this group goes completely fascist, you're going fascist.
Yeah.
Because you have no choice. Because they literally gave you no other options. And it's also a problem of having just one school and nothing else, because you cannot leave to another school, which is another thing. There's a lot of talk about expelling, and I think there's no such thing.
No,
you cannot expel them.
What does that mean?
You cannot expel them, because where
are they going to go?
In a normal world, you can go to the other school. You get a big bad mark on your book because you were expelled at that school, but you can go to a new school. These people can't go to a new school. No. In fact, I don't think expelling is even possible, because they're not going to let them out of being part of the Wizarding world.
Exactly.
The only person that I've heard of that was expelled was Hagrid. But Hagrid is part creature. He cannot live in the Muggle world anyway. So any person who is like Remus and Flitwick and Hagrid, these are the people who could possibly be expelled. But Hermione can't be expelled.
Harry can't be.
Harry can't be expelled, because what would happen if they did that? He would just go to Nocturne Alley, because they would break his wand. They go to Nocturne Alley, buy a wand of a shady witch, and he could go be a Dark Lord wherever. There is absolutely no reason, no way they can let any of these people go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so this threatening with expelling, it's bogus and stupid.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Nocturne Alley. I mean, we could talk about the alley itself, but especially the things that he's there to buy. So he sees the Nimbus 2000.
In Diagon Alley.
That one, Diagon Alley. He starts. He sees the wand. He goes and gets measured for a wand, effectively.
Oh, I love that scene.
So good.
We're big John Hurt fans.
Yes, and that scene that he goes swish. That is in a lot of the trailers as well, because it's just so good.
Yes.
So whatever his character's name is gets a sense of, this is Harry, let's try. Ollivander. He's like, maybe after things blow up, he's like, maybe this one. And so he is so good at this that he can
notice on the sign it says Ollivander since 800 and something or other?
Yeah, 300 and something or other.
Doesn't people think that it is actually Ollivander all that time and he's part elf?
Yeah, why not?
Because magical creature.
Yeah. No, definitely noticed that. That was very cool.
Yes.
And then he goes to the Nimbus to see. He walks past the Nimbus, and then later he gets the Nimbus.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's gifted to him. Blah, blah, blah.
And McGonagall gifted him that way.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, he does have people watching over him. He has fairy godmothers.
For fairy godmother, I think McGonagall needs a kick in the butt, because she's not very good at it.
The only reason she did that is because she was interested in the Quidditch. Yeah. She's also a fan.
Yeah, but it's not interested in him. She's interested in Quidditch.
No, she's like, come over here. I will take you. And the guy, I found your seeker. Which is very, again, that's it's a boy's dream come true kind of
Yeah,
thing.
but I think that I'm sorry because I do like McGonagall and everybody likes McGonagall, but I think McGonagall failed Harry as the head of his house in taking care of him. In more, she should have done more than she did.
There's nobody taking care of these kids. There's
that's
absolutely,
idiotic.
I don't know how people live in a boarding school, but you would have to have some sort of counseling time or whatever. You have to have somebody that
Anything
you
at
can
all.
go to with problems because you are still a child.
I think that I don't think that J.K. Rowling actually ever herself went to a boarding school. She visited and she knows people, but I don't think she lived in one. I think that a lot of things that she knows are from reading books, and one of the books and film that comes with it is a film called Goodbye, Mr. Chips, which was a boys' boarding school set from 1900 to about 1945 or something like that. And even this guy, because they also have houses and uniforms, and there's a lot of go watch that movie if you're interested, because there's a lot of stuff that you will recognize from how Hogwarts works. But one of the things they do in that movie is that he once he actually gets a lady, but even before that, every Sunday he has a tea for a bunch of these kids, and he keeps rotating between kids, so every kid at least gets a chance to have tea with the with one of the teachers. Socialization. They knew it in that one, and here it's getting completely
This is
lost.
completely on par with the Anne of Green Gables books, because she needs socialization as well. So some of the girls in town are asked for tea by the vicar's wife every Sunday afternoon. And so she gets into one of these groups. She's asked specifically, you are coming when Diana is coming. And so she's with some other girls. In those times, she actually is taught things like morals. I mean, it's literally there to make sure that these kids start have enough, more than their parents. It's not just Anne, who didn't have any parents and who came to live in a domestic situation as a child late in life, at 11. But it's also for Diana.
And socialization.
Who is beautifully taken care of by her parents. So it's to make sure that there are other adults who can speak, in this case a woman who can speak to the girls as a woman and can answer questions and also can teach some things. So these things were this is like the 1880s that we're talking about now. This was a very normal thing. You raise children, the whole village raises the children.
And here the entire time that he is at Hogwarts,
nobody spends any time on that. Maybe
but
every
also,
once in a while Dumbledore, when things become really difficult.
There are also almost no extracurricular activities.
Zero.
There's the one dueling club. That's it. There would have been so many.
Not in the film.
With Lockhart.
Oh, that was an official lesson. That wasn't.
No, that was the dueling club.
Oh, okay.
The dueling club with Lockhart in film in the second film, and that was only like a one-off. And there's like later there's that ball, but there's no other extracurricular activities. Normal people have like an after-school knitting class,
a play,
or
they would be helping Hagrid with the animals or something.
Yes, they wouldn't be just sitting around doing nothing but school and then homework and then school.
It's not a complete picture that's being painted here, and that's what I think with the way Chris Columbus made the first film is like what I'm saying about the school ties, etc. Is that it's a sketch. It's a very, very pretty sketch. It's like the Disney version of what this concept, maybe a sort of like our Christmas idea of what these kids would be living in, and the Christmas thing comes back because they. There's a Scrooge moment where Harry has to stay in the school over Christmas, and then Ron stays as well. They don't explain why Ron stays.
Because he has a house full of other very busy
Yeah.
brothers, two of which are very good at pranking him into bits. So yeah,
Oh, that's not in the film.
no, but that is yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. That moment where they have, and you can see them, especially there's some deleted scenes where you see that they have a reduced company of kids now for Christmas. There's a Christmas tree. That's the one where they're playing chess. I mean, like in 30 seconds you can do a lot. Please make that extended version. And in that moment you're finding out that Harry and Ron have a moment where they can't go home for Christmas. And that's a different kind of brotherhood that then happens.
Yeah.
And this is the moment that Harry starts to spend loads of his time with the mirror.
The Mirror of Erised is, I think, a metaphor for loneliness and desire of things you can't really have. Because it shows you what you want most, but in the case of Harry, he cannot ever attain it. Ron sees stuff that he could possibly attain. They're very small scale stuff.
He sees the future.
Yeah, but
Harry
he sees like small stuff like being Quidditch captain and holding the cup.
Yeah.
I mean, these are very for Harry very minor things, really.
Yeah. But for a normal school kid, that's what you hope for.
And I think
But he
probably
gets to see his hope.
Hermione would probably see a lot of books, and she loves to read books, and she loves to learn. Maybe that she's accomplished at learning something. Also attainable thing, by the way.
Yeah.
So I
But
think
what Harry wants
is unattainable.
Is the past that he didn't have.
And even if he got it instantly, it would still not give him the past.
Yeah.
If he got his parents right now, it wouldn't give him back what he had, what he lost.
He never had a normal. There's never a good situation when a child loses his parents, but very often the child comes into a situation with aunts and uncles, etc., and then they are surrogate parents.
Somebody
he didn't get that.
Yeah, somebody who is at least somewhat willing to do right by him.
So he's not just missing these two human beings; he is missing parents, and he never had any of it, and he's never going to get it.
And the failing of Hogwarts is that they didn't do something about it then. And for him, for Voldemort, and for Snape as well, because he had a very abusive household that he could have been taken out of that and placed somewhere else.
Well, I would say Harry was abused as well.
Yeah, but Harry, no, both of them are should have been taken out of a house and placed somewhere else, anywhere else.
Yeah. So it does show that this incomplete society is incapable. It is not humane enough.
It's not humane enough for the people who live in it, and then you breed your own Dark Lords basically. And the only reason that Snape isn't a Dark Lord is he's just not in his nature and absolutely not.
And he should never have been in Slytherin.
Why
not Ravenclaw?
He should have been in Ravenclaw. He was a smart aleck. He can go in Ravenclaw. He would have been wonderful in Ravenclaw, and he would have been fine, and there would have been no issues.
So we can blame the Sorting Hat.
Yeah, but no, don't blame the Sorting Hat. Sorting Hat is just an artifact. The use of the Sorting Hat, you can blame that.
Yeah. Why go 100% with what the Sorting Hat says?
Yeah.
Again, this is back to the structure of the society. It's like you've offloaded where these kids are going to go. First, you create a world where the kids are going to have to be fractured and will never work together. Okay, that's a bad idea. And now you're offloading it to a Sorting Hat to put them into these houses.
People's well, the excuse for that is going to be, oh, we think that is fairer because then our personal bias don't play any part. But that one says that.
Yeah.
Because this is what you get. You get
Voldemort.
You get Voldemort out of it. It's their own bloody fault.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Well, that's what I have to say about the first movie.
Okay. Let me check my notes, but I think I'm probably going to be agreeing with you. One thing I want to say about the first movie, particular, but it goes for all of them. J.K. Rowling is very well read, and she knows how to get a lot of different things together, sometimes accidentally falling into place and sometimes not. This is one where I don't know, but there's that moment where Snape says the following to Harry in class. That's the first scene where the first lesson with Snape, whereas Snape is quizzing people.
Oh my god, yes.
And he asks...
Oh no.
And do you want to read it?
Tell me, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel with an infusion of wormwood?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that we don't get to find out. This sort of thing, this thing sits for a very, very long time until you get to the last book and hopefully get a resolution. We don't get an active resolution, but a fan found, very interesting.
According to Victorian flower language, asphodel is a type of lily meaning my regrets follow you to the grave, and wormwood means absence and also typically symbolizes bitter sorrow. If you combine that, Snape's words mean I bitterly regret Lily's death.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
It could be coincidence or not, but I'm sure she would have. She does know that flower language. I know it existed. Certainly, she knows it existed. She knows a lot. She read a lot. Like the platform of 9 3/4. That location was to be fought for many years. I don't know about how now, but certainly when she wrote it down, to be the gravesite of Boadicea. So, like that's where the train is, and then where the platform is, and so she the 9 3/4 that she made up, but it was like between 9 and 10, so okay, about here, that's that sort of thing. She that sort of detail, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I like that. So
yeah, we can spend a moment on why would we review a piece of work by somebody who has shown herself in society to have reprehensible ideas.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. There's this axiom of the death of the author. That's not the actual death, by the way. It is taking the work and separating the author from the work and seeing it as two different things. It is more difficult because the author is still around. It's easier to do it with Shakespeare.
It's always easier when they're dead.
They make so few mistakes. Yes. So I think there are a lot of things in this story that make it very clear of the things that she says now are in Harry Potter already. They are opinionated people who are near fascist in their racist and fascist and classist in their way they build the society, and that comes from her pen and from her mind.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of points where that is actually exposed as evil.
No, because she doesn't think it's evil.
Certain people are exposed as evil.
Yeah.
So that is something to keep in mind when you're watching these movies. For me, it is, I am willing to watch the movies. I'm not willing to buy the books. The books, the money goes to her. The movies, yeah, money goes to her. That's very unfortunate.
But also
However,
to everybody, yeah.
There are, let's call it 1,000 people who worked on these movies, and they did an awesome job. And I don't want to, for one bad apple, I don't want to punish all these other people, because they did do an awesome job, and it is
The solution, of course, is that you buy the books now secondhand and the DVDs, and don't buy any new ones anymore.
These were secondhand.
As were these. I got the whole set secondhand from.
Yeah. I prefer that over streaming it, but yeah.
Since I'm holding them, so these are the thicknesses of the books 1, 2, and 3. The next book is about this thick, so this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Another little book. Inglaterra. This is a German map. Sorry about that.
UK.
UK. It's a very old map, so some of the borders are wrong. Doesn't matter. I wanted to show you where Hogwarts is. It is right here. There says Inverness when there is a little S. Where the little S is, that's where Hogwarts is. And that bridge, that beautiful bridge in the movie, that is supposed to be somewhere, because London is over here. That's supposed to be like in the middle, right? It's all the way over there. It's a very pretty bridge, by the way. But it's the bridge across a gorge that is quite far away.
I'm a big Star Trek fan, and the phrase, what does God want with a spaceship, came to mind at the end of this film. Because it's like, if you're so powerful, why do you need... Why does Voldemort have to manipulate everybody if he's so powerful?
Yeah, that's never explained, because I don't think, even though JK is the way she is, I don't think she understands evil.
Yeah.
She simply does not understand. She knows people do actions like Voldemort's, but she doesn't understand why. So she has an evil shaped object in the form of Voldemort, but she doesn't understand how it actually works. That's a problem, because then you have a situation where Voldemort is the head of a pure blood fascist faction, for which Malfoy will definitely join. But then Snape
What
also...
is Snape doing there?
Snape also join. A, why would Snape join? B, why would Malfoy be?
They would make him join.
Why would Malfoy be happy for him to join? Because he would not.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, Voldemort is a half-blood.
Yeah, what is that?
And it is maybe possible that Voldemort somehow doctored whatever to make sure that Malfoy didn't know that. But he would definitely have known that Snape was a half-blood. There was nothing, because Snape is younger than Malfoy, so Malfoy Senior. So he would absolutely not be interesting for the Death Eaters. It's idiotic, because J.K. doesn't fundamentally understand how it works. She just makes a thing that looks roughly like an AI. She is almost like AI. That is so weird, but yes, she is. She makes a society formed object and calls it the Wizarding World. AI, you take the prompt of make a society that also has that lives in our world and also has magic. Out comes this,
and therefore there's a ministry, but there's nothing else.
And the ministry exists because, of course, you want a leader of your place. So I'm sure she thought about it exactly like this. You want a leader of your place, but the Brits already have a queen. There can only be one queen.
You can't have queens and kings in the Wizarding World. That would.
And, a leader of a country is most often either a president or a queen. Or a monarch.
Prime Minister.
Yeah, okay, Prime Minister, but no, we already have those in the UK, and she realized that no, we can't have those. So how about a ministry? So we have a minister, we have a semi-high person.
Yeah.
And so I think she simply came out with like that, and it's kind of shitty. I'm sorry, but no.
It is a similar thing to the school uniforms. There's some of it is shorthand, visually and story-wise, and that's fine as long as you stick to this one movie. But when we go to the second movie, we're gonna have a lot more problems.
I have a couple of more things. A little wink that was I don't know if that was intentional, but the little dragon Norbert that was eating up that was firing up Hagrid's beard, that little one, is a Norwegian ridgeback. The big dragon in the Goblet of Fire that Harry has to fight is a Norwegian ridgeback.
Is he called Norbert?
And possibly because Norbert did go to Romania, and this one comes from Romania.
Well, yeah, that's where they all are, of course.
The fan lore is that A, this is definitely Norbert, and B, it Norberta, because it has an egg. So.
Oh. Maybe Hagrid was slightly incorrect.
This surprises you how exactly. And then The other thing is, that's an extra in this film, and I think because it happened much later, that photo album right at the end, Hagrid, just before Harry gets back on the train, he hands him a photo album with pictures of the Potters in it. And I think that one is actually he got that a lot later from Sirius, like two films later, from Sirius, because that makes more sense. But I think they wanted to put it in here, so that one's out of order. And then the last thing, and that one happens again in the second movie, is the Gryffindors win the House Cup by some points because Dumbledore said so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
Yes, but we needed the roaring applause at the end.
And in the second one, it is all exams are cancelled.
Yeah.
What
what's
the fuck?
That? How does that work? And I'm with Hermione on that one. Hermione was like, no!
So you're gonna just cancel owls and newts? Are you kidding?
Why? What? No. Are cancelled. No, I think it is. This is where we get back to the Willy Wonka chocolate factory and the Roald Dahl stuff. It's just not an actual story.
She absolutely ate up Roald Dahl. Ate it up.
This is all Matilda and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is a fantasy.
Tis. So I'm done with one.
Yeah.
Let's call this one and come back to 2 and 3, hopefully in one, but maybe not. We are about to find out, and you will find out sometime later, because that was my opinion.
In my opinion.
And we're sticking to it.